It's the Alternative Sports Show and it's a La Liga El Clasico special. I'm Matthew Connell, that's Andre Dixon, and we've got a lot of exciting things to go through, mate. We've got Samira Hunter, La Liga TV presenter, chatting to us. We've got Guillem Balague, who, of course, a lot of us UK football fans know a lot about, very connected to football in Spain. We've got Keegan Pearce, of course, International Development, UK and Ireland of La Liga, all friends of the show. Dre, this is pretty cool. We've got some good guests coming up.
Well, this show is so special that I wore a shirt for it. I literally, this is the smartest I've looked in a long time. Normally, I'm in one of those things, but behind. But no, this is one of the games that we really look forward to. You know, despite our domestic, teams that we support, I'm always like looking out for this game. This is one of the main games in the calendar. Obviously, there's usually a new shiny toy to be able to show off. But now there's like so exciting because we've got some new, exciting players. It's definitely youth-focused. And obviously, we're speaking to the guys, big dogs, Keegan, Guillem, and of course, the amazing Semra. And like, we were just literally just getting all the information to give to you guys about what to expect in this big game.
Well, that's it. The El Clasico never fails to be a special fixture. And of course, it's something that's all close to any football fan's heart. Now, it's a very different because, of course, it's not all about the shiny toys. We've got a new manager at Barcelona. There's a pressure on Zidane. Who are the stars that are going to shine? Because now, in a world that isn't going to be dominated by the Messi versus Ronaldos, it's all about the youngsters. So we have put ourselves to the task to ask Guillem, Samira and Keegan about all these key questions. But starting out, here's Samira Hunter giving her thoughts ahead of the El Clasico.
So we're joined by my friend, my pal, my amigo, Semra Hunter, the Spanish football expert. I call on her when it comes to all things La Liga. She's the official voice to us anyway of La Liga. How are you, Semra?
Well, thank you. That was such a lovely introduction. A lovely way to start my day. I really appreciate that. Nice to see you again, my friend, as well. How are you?
Yeah, well, I'm still in the basement, as you can see. I'm still. I'm going to start getting a.
I'm still loving the setup, by the way. I'm still loving all the Jordan, the balls, all of that. Still loving it. It's
completely natural. Everyone has studio lights in their bedroom. It's completely natural. So how obviously, how were you, and how's the actual preparation been for the build up to El Clasico?
I'm good. I'm doing really well, actually. Thank you. It's been such an unusual week in the way of a build up to a Clasico because of the whole unusual circumstances of just the year in general, right? With the pandemic and everything else. And in Spain, unfortunately, in the last few weeks, things have actually been getting a lot worse again. And so they've started to rein things in, the government, starting to tighten up measures again. They've put Madrid back sort of on a lockdown situation. Catalonia, where I am in Barcelona, is also sort of starting to do the same thing. They're talking about now making sure that everybody's at home by 10 o'clock at night. So it's not a great moment in time. But having said that, the Clasico is like that bright, shining light, that glimmer of hope, that something to look forward to that's going to lift everybody's spirits. It's going to make everybody a little bit happy, even if it's just a happy distraction for 2 hours. But it's something to help us turn our attentions away from everything that's happening around us right now with the pandemic. So it's been quiet in the sense that normally in a big week before a Clasico, you're out on the streets, you're out at the stadium, you're interacting with fans, you're interacting with people at the clubs and trying to build the momentum towards the clash. But we obviously can't do that because of the restrictions that are in place at this point in time. So, for example, the stadium tomorrow, a lot of media, normally you would have hundreds, maybe even like 1,000 of media coming from all over the world. I'm not entirely sure that tomorrow that's going to be the case, just because of the distancing rules and everything else. I'm not sure they'll allow as much media as normal. Even for ourselves, we normally go big and splurge at La Liga TV and do a whole big set up with multiple people at the ground. We usually bring in a big star or a former star of either Real Madrid or Barcelona to help us out with the Clasico. We do a big thing in the studio, but this year we're just doing the studio. We're not even able to send anybody to the ground, which is a bit of a shame. But, you know, we have to make do with what we can. So even still, having said that, I mean, it's a great game. It's one of the best games of the season, every single season. At the very least, we get two. Sometimes we get a little bit more, depending on the Champions League and other competitions. But I think people are really looking forward to it. And the weather is really nice here in Barcelona. The first Clasico is at the Camp Nou. It's here. So at least it's something positive, I think, in a time of a bit of darkness.
I mean, you are even with the imposing rules that obviously for social distancing and the curfews and things like that, I'm still a bit jealous because you still are in Barcelona and I'm in Croydon. So it's completely outweighs everything. Like when this lockdown here was like, and we don't want to go out anyway.
Oh, come on now, don't say that.
Big up Croydon. So basically back to obviously the media's take on the stakes on the weekend's match. What's the what would you say the feeling is at the moment media wise in Spain?
Well, I think in terms of like who you think they think what in terms of what they think is going to happen, like the results and that sort of thing. I think people overall are feeling pretty confident that this one's going to go to Barcelona. And I say that for different reasons. Sorry, what did you say?
I agree. Totally agree.
Yeah. I mean, even the press in Madrid are kind of having to admit that Madrid probably are not going to walk away unscathed from this Clasico. It's true that in the last 8 games that they played against one another, in LaLiga specifically, Barcelona have a far better record. So they've either won or drawn every single game with the exception of one, which was the most recent game in March, which was 2 match days right before the whole lockdown even happened. So it was one of the last games that we had with fans, which was great, and we still miss them badly. And that was at the Bernabeu, and Real Madrid won. And so Barcelona, that first game, they drew 0-0. So Barcelona didn't win last season in the Clasico, but before that, they had a pretty strong, impressive record against Real Madrid. Now, there's been a lot of changes at both clubs. I'm sure you're all aware of what happened over the summer with Lionel Messi, with Ronald Koeman coming in, and all of the messy situation. That sounds like a pun, isn't it? I'm not saying Messi as in Lionel Messi. I mean Messi as in like just kind of a shit show, to be completely honest with you, at the club. And since Koeman has come in and the season has started, it's actually settled down a bit, and they are playing much better than I think a lot of people expected them to. They are a bit erratic, so they can have a great performance, a great game, and they look like they're really sharp. They look like they know what they're doing. They're working in unison and working in harmony. And then you have a game like Getafe, where they were just dreadful for at least 45 minutes, I would say. They were quite bad in the first half. So they're still working things out, and it will depend on what Barcelona shows up on the day. But I still think that they have overall put in much better, more convincing performances, and they have a better squad, or they're more depth of squad at the moment, a better bench available at this point in time than Zidane. Zidane is coming under a bit of pressure for the first time in a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
That's not to say that he's going to get sacked. I don't think he's going to get sacked anytime soon, but I do think he's starting to feel the heat. It's 2 losses in a row now, one in La Liga, one in the Champions League. They lost to Cadiz, which is a team that just got promoted after 14 years away from the top flight. And it's not to take anything away from them, because they completely deserved that victory from start to finish. But Madrid were just woeful. They look lost. They look like they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. Players are out of position. They look a bit confused. And the defense has been getting steadily worse and worse and worse. And if it weren't for Courtois, who has been brilliant and by far the best player for Real Madrid so far this season, the results probably would be a lot worse. He's saved them a lot so far this season. But the main thing that's missing, the main ingredient that's missing for Real Madrid right now is confidence. They really look like they're far short of confidence. And that is the one thing you cannot not have when you go into a Clasico. You need to be full of confidence because this is a game like no other. You're going up against one of the biggest clubs in world football. And believe me, if they smell that blood, they will punish you for it. They will just absolutely destroy you. And Barcelona are capable of doing that, as are Real Madrid. So, and again, playing at the Camp Nou, Real Madrid are traveling. There's injury worries about Sergio Ramos after he came off the other day in the Champions League. It's still not confirmed whether he's going to be fit enough to play or not. It does seem as though he's training with the squad this morning, so that is good news. When it comes to Barcelona, Jordi Alba, also a bit 50-50, still not quite clear if he's going to make it or not. So if that happens, we could see Serginho Dest. Yes, go America. Come in, even though he'll have to play on the left, even though he's a right back, he'll probably have to fill the void at left back. So it's going to be a really interesting game, I think, for so many different reasons. It's a way for Koeman to continue to consolidate his new system. He's playing with a 4-2-3-1 versus the 4-3-3 that Barcelona have been playing with for years and years and years. To consolidate the system and the players that he has implementing it. And with Zidane, he keeps changing the system and the players every single game, that you're not really quite sure what he's going to come up with or what he's going to concoct for this one. What I can say is I think a lot of the players that he rested in the Champions League game, like Karim Benzema, for example, will 100% start this game. Eden Hazard is 100% not going to be able to start this game because he's still out injured too. The poor thing has just had bad luck and injury after injury after injury. So we're still waiting to see if we can finally get the Eden Hazard of Chelsea, because it just hasn't happened yet.
Not happened.
We'll see what happens. But I mean, I know that's kind of a long-winded answer, but I do think that Barcelona are going to take this one. I really do.
It's a very relevant and useful answer. It's actually covered quite a few things we were going to ask you. Of course, like the Sergio Ramos thing is very interesting because it's something Dre touched upon speaking to Keegan Pearce and Guillem Balague. And of course, he talked to you before about young talent. And of course, you know, it feels like it's one of those matches where, you know, it's certainly an El Clasico where it doesn't feel like it will be so much a showcase of the shiny toys, but almost more a spotlight on the managers, but also, you know, a spotlight on the younger talent, because we saw it in the last El Clasico, of course, you know, with Madrid coming out on top, Vinicius getting the goal in there, Mariano Diaz also scoring. A lot of eyes, of course, on Ansu Fati, without Madrid having the Hazards and, of course, with the Bales that have gone over to Tottenham. There's a lot of stake for these young names to show themselves. Militao is going to want to show what he's made of, if with or without an injured Sergio Ramos. So, you know, I think Barcelona fans will have a lot more to be happy about when they do win, because, of course, where they sit in the league table at 9th, 3 points behind the third place Real Madrid, of course, it'll be very depressing reading for Barcelona fans. But actually, it's one win over Madrid, and all of a sudden things are looking a lot more different. So a lot to look forward to. And I've been very lucky to see 2 El Clasicos at hand. One would have been an ICC friendly in Miami, where Barcelona won 3-2, which was Neymar's last appearance in a Barcelona shirt. And then I went to the El Clasico following that in 2017, where I think it was a 3-0 win at Real Madrid for Barcelona. So
they've done quite a few of those in recent years.
Exactly. So it feels like the tide's turning, despite the head-to-heads, you know, in favour of Real Madrid. Of course, you know, it feels like it's edging towards Barcelona. For yourself, you know, this is again touching on what Dre had spoke to Keegan and Guillem about. Aside from the managers, this definitely feels like the showcase of the young talent now, doesn't it?
100%. And I think it's a really exciting element as well, because for so long it was the battle of Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. You know, it was the era of Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. And let's be honest, in 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 years, we'll probably look back at this time and say, yeah, that is probably the best individual duel of footballers of all time, of the history of football, without a doubt. And we got to live that in the flesh, and it's still so fresh and recent in our minds. And it's true that it's not quite the same anymore without Cristiano Ronaldo, or even without Pep and Mourinho. That was something really special, really unique, that time period. But now, you know, time marches on, things evolve, and we're in the era of the young talents coming through, the young superstars, the next big superstars, if you like. And there's so many names to pick from. You've already highlighted quite a few of them. Ansu Fati is absolutely tearing it up, not just for Barcelona, but for the Spanish national team.
Of course.
Smashing all sorts of records. I think he's like broken 12 or 13 different records already, and he's not even 18 yet. He's 17 years and 300 and something days, you know. It's remarkable. And you can just see that he's naturally gifted, he's naturally talented. And you always have a little bit of caution as, okay, he's a teenager. We've seen so many times, time and time again, teenagers who fade out by the time maybe they're 20, 21, 22. They can't make that transition into adulthood as a big name. It's really difficult for a lot of players, but he does genuinely seem like the real deal, the first real deal, I think, in a long time, especially to come out of La Masia. He's someone very much to be excited about, I would say. They also have Pedri, Trincao, that they just signed, two really promising wingers. Pedri, I think, I always get it backwards. One of them is 17, one of them is 20, but they're still very young. And I think Pedri's the 17-year-old, if I can remember correctly. But they also look like they could be really good for the future, especially now that Barcelona are trying to play more with wingers. So it actually could work out quite well for them and the system and what Koeman is trying to do with his Barcelona. Then you mentioned Vinicius, Rodrigo, at Real Madrid, Militao, of course, who's been there for a couple of seasons, but really hasn't gotten too much playing time. I'm trying to think of who else there is, because there are quite a lot of names, and you've got a lot as well of players coming through the youth system that are still being called up and still being put onto the bench for Barcelona, more so probably than for Real Madrid at this point in time. But yeah, it's a very youthful Clasico, I think, this time around.
It's definitely one for this is definitely one for the local fans, I feel, more in a sense that, of course, that's the thing, I guess, if you were to watch like a absolute classic Premier League game, I wouldn't expect Spanish or French or German football fans to be watching a Manchester derby and get excited about a Phil Foden. Of course, for us as England, being England fans, we're excited about seeing that youth that comes through the national team. Of course, Ansu Fati doing his thing. It's great for us to see Adama Traore get his chance of Wolves. Now he's really showing his muscle.
We're loving it too.
His muscle. It's it's amazing on so many levels.
It bodes really well for the Spanish national team, and that's something that also gets.
It's
me
something
really
different. It's definitely, if we're going to talk about the stereotypes, what we think of a Spanish footballer, of course, this is absolute mountain to have in a team. But touching back on a manager's thing, I feel like there's almost, I would say, of course, Koeman needs to make a statement. I feel there's less for him to prove at this stage because he's still having to feel out his team, understand really the balance of what's been a quite tricky start of the season to figure out. Of course, it won't be alarm bells just set for Real Madrid and Zidane. But, it's the way the football media is. And I religiously keep my eye on looking through LiveScore, keeping track of Spanish fixtures, because La Liga is close to my heart. Having a Spanish girlfriend, so I know all about the stakes of Spanish football. I like checking out, from her being from the Galicia region, I like to keep my own Celta Vigo. And they obviously surf above the danger line quite a lot. So I like checking out for them. Of course, we had Gareth Bale being a Brit, a part of Real Madrid over the last few years. And it was a player that I worked very closely working and creating content for him. So I feel a bit of justification to see that it's hard times for Real Madrid and Zidane because of the way he was.
It's personal for you.
Exactly. For me, it's very personal. I've always been very pro Madrid, and I've had many great experiences with Real Madrid, and I've been to their training facility a number of times, and both clubs, beautiful clubs, have always been slightly pro Madrid. But now, after the way knowing what Gareth had gone through, I was like, right, okay, this is the season where I want Barcelona to right the wrongs, to recover from what happened last season. And it's now time to say, like, this is it. But I feel like there's no way, for Zidane, there's still a lot he has to try and obviously figure out. But again, like we said with Fati, it feels like it's just made for him. I feel like this match I think Koeman will be very thankful for Ansu Fati. after this game. I think that's a no-brainer. I mean, like you said, I don't think the pressure shouldn't be too high on Zidane at this stage, but...
No, but I do think it is slightly higher on him. I don't think Koeman is under any pressure whatsoever.
No.
I think he's actually, it's quite the opposite. I think he's so looking forward to this game, as you say, as a way to put a stamp of authority on not just his team in Barcelona, but also on the league itself. He's been wanting this job since the day he left Barcelona as a football player.
Absolutely.
Some 25 years ago. He's always said he's planned his entire managerial career to come to Barcelona. And this is one of the biggest games you can play as a manager of Barcelona. And, you know, let's not forget, he was part of the dream team. He scored himself in Clásicos against Barcelona, against Real Madrid. He won in a 5-0, a manita, against Real Madrid during his playing days as well. So he knows fully well what is expected of not just his team, but of the manager as well in a game like this. And I think if Zidane does lose this game, expect the pressure to go way up, way quickly.
That's crazy because he's won.
It is crazy.
Like,
and you know
so
how
much.
Spanish media gets? It will go full-blown crisis mode. It's going to go off the rails. 3 losses in a row for Real Madrid. Who remembers the last time that happened? To be honest with you, I don't, off the top of my head, I don't remember the last time that happened, but I'm sure it hasn't been any time recently. And it's just going to go, they're going to go into meltdown, the Spanish media in Madrid. And I have a feeling that that's sort of what's going to happen, if I'm completely honest with you. I think Koeman is feeling really confident about his chances in this game. I think Zidane is not feeling so confident about his chances at this point in time. So it is a really big game between these two. They've never met as managers on the touchline before, as far as I am aware, especially in a Clasico, that this is the first one for them. But yeah, I do think Zidane maybe can feel a little bit of breath on the back of his neck. Like, you need to come back with at least a point from this game.
I mean,
to not be in a world of trouble.
Exactly. And I hope he isn't one that would read social media, because of course, without the fans in the stadium to vent their feelings, of course, it not being, if it was a home match, of course.
He'll be very happy that the Camp Nou is empty.
But the noise will be amplified. But this is the thing, the noise will be somewhat amplified, I feel, because what's going to happen is the media will be like, right, it's our time to shine. The angry fans, they'll get on the social media. And I've seen it because I've sat within the Madridistas behind a goal to watch the El Clasico when they lost 3-0. Wow. It's frightening. It's passionate. If it's one of these things where you say football as a religion. Like, we can go to I've been to many a derby, whether it's been the north, the south. As a Portsmouth fan, I've been to Portsmouth Southampton matches. But when you say football is a religion, oh my goodness, it cannot be understated. When I was there amongst those fans, all dressed in their white, 3-0 down, the anger, the passion, the hurt was nothing like I'd ever seen in football before. So this is it. This is.
I'm sure the white hankies came out and Dimisión Florentino, Dimisión Pérez, when they start chanting for a president to go as well. Madridistas are some of the hardest critics in world football, I think.
Hard to please.
Turn on anybody. I mean, they've turned on Cristiano Ronaldo, they've turned on Raúl, they've turned on Casillas, they've turned on everybody. Nobody is completely...
What do you guys want? You're such a successful club.
But they're spoiled. That's the problem, is that they're so used to so much success all the time that they demand it all the time, because they fully believe that they are the best football club in history. And to be quite honest, I mean, they can back that claim. They can support that claim. I mean, you just go to the museum and you see how many pieces of silverware that they have in there, more than anybody else. So it's a little bit of, I know they won't like this, but it is a bit of entitlement. They do feel that they have the right to constantly demand the best from their manager, the best from their board, the best from the club all around, the best from their players. And if no one delivers, or if someone doesn't deliver, they're gonna feel it. They're gonna be made known that they need to up their game.
And Semra, it's very, very similar to my beloved Liverpool. There's expectations. There's expectations.
You had to slip that in there, didn't you?
No, when you saw the cup, You saw the cup and you knew what was coming. I saw you see it.
I think even your headphones look like they're Liverpool themed headphones.
He's so on brand.
He's so
shout
brand,
out
isn't
Apple
he?
Beats by Dre for sending us this, but like, you know, the red is not red enough. It could be more red. And as well, you know, I'm going to make sure that you have your own Liverpool cup because I've been recruiting everyone, you know, behind the scenes, Semra to recapture her love for Liverpool because I know it's always been there.
Okay, yes, it's true.
Yeah!
I'll give in. And I have to say, I 100% adore Jurgen Klopp. I adore the man from way back when he was in Germany.
Oh, what a guy.
And when he signed for Liverpool, it was like, oh, that's it. They're going to win. They're going to win everything. That's it. They've done a masterstroke of a
because
signing.
I've been recruiting left, right and centre. I've literally been recruiting left, right and centre. I even got...
You don't have to try that hard with me, I have to be honest with you.
See, I love this. Semra, so tell people how they can actually see you around on the television screens this weekend, and then obviously your social media, you know, because we're big fans and we get a big reaction whenever you're on. So
thank you.
So, yeah, you take it from here.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated. So on TV, you can see me on La Liga TV. So in the UK and Ireland, I believe it's on Sky Channel 435. Mm-hmm. It's on Virgin TV as well, and on Premier Sports. So on Premier Sports, you can get that online. You can get it on your TV. You have lots of different ways to sign up for the channel. And on social media, at Twitter, or on Twitter, I should say, at Samira Hunter, at my name. Same with Instagram, Semra_Hunter.
And Semra's Instagram is very good. she, all the pictures that we would us mortals get when we're going on the stadium tour, Semra just gets it like just it's a Tuesday. It's a Tuesday. So
Speaking of Tuesdays, actually, this Tuesday I have a surprise. I haven't posted the photos yet, but they are coming this past Tuesday of something pretty cool that I did.
We'll keep an eye on your Instagram for Tuesday.
Well, it was this past Tuesday, but yeah, I'll probably post it sometime next week.
Oh,
it already happened. I'm waiting to get the actual photos in order to make the post.
So I'm a happy man. I've made sure that I've got an exclusive where I've got Semra to be able to confess her love for Liverpool, and then we've got all the background details, all the little tidbits for the El Clasico. I'm really excited about it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the screen again. As per usual, we're always big fans. So so obviously keep all the look out for all of the details that we've got on La Liga, and lots and lots of content on Verge Magazine, and then also check out our social media for at Altsports. All of those details down here. I won't mess up the ending like I normally do. I'm gonna go out on a high.
Wait.
George Costanza.
You didn't tell us, Dre, who you thought was going to win the Clasico.
Oh, you're going to put me on the spot?
I'm putting you on the spot. Matt gave his answer. I gave my answer. What's yours?
Liverpool aren't playing in this match, just so you know.
Touche.
You know what? I've just got a feeling, that with Barcelona, there's something, obviously, because they got humiliated by Bayern Munich. I think there's always something underlying that they have to perform at their best, and especially when it comes to big games where the world is watching. I think there's a pressure from not just from Messi himself, obviously, because I don't think he's got anything else to prove. I was going to actually ask you about that, but I'm thinking, well, what more can the man do in El Clasico to be able to prove that he's if not the best, one of the best. But yeah, I just think with Barcelona, I think that other professional footballers have got some pride, and I think this one here, if they beat Real Madrid handsomely, then that kind of goes some way to be able to repair some of the damage that happened. Oh my God, yeah, it feels like it was last season, but it feels like it's still this season.
I know, right? Everything's kind of blurring all together.
It's the weirdest thing, but no.
But I agree, it's going to set the tone for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I definitely feel. I mean, none of them are at their best. I do like to see the new players coming because I'm one of the rare people that was just like getting a bit tired of the Ronaldo versus Messi and Messi every 2 seconds, and I do like to see the new players come along and how they fit around him. It doesn't mean I don't appreciate Messi, I definitely do, but it's I definitely like to see new players, as you know, because every time I speak to you, I'm always trying to get the new ones for fantasy football and so forth. So I'm definitely going to go for Barcelona this time. So I'm repping your city.
And that's the awesome Samira Hunter giving myself and Dre the lowdown ahead of this El Clasico. Now, a lot of interesting things to look forward to. Injury concerns. It feels like we're slightly edging on a Barcelona win here, despite the difference in the league tables. Dre, how awesome is Semra?
Honestly, I've got so much respect for her, and she's such a nice person to be able to, obviously we all know that she's got a ridiculous schedule, but to take the time out for us, mere mortals. But we're getting up there, my friend. We're getting up there.
Exactly.
But we're on our journey. But
exactly.
I really appreciate her spending some time with us, and it's always fun to have her on the show.
That's the thing. I really hope that my Spanish lessons that I've been doing and my learning will come into handy one day. We're definitely, growing more familiar with the La Liga crowd, and we're also grateful to add our part to the noise, to the commentary, and the hype. So next up, take a little look at this. This is Dre on his own earlier on, talking to Guillem Balague and Keegan Pierce. This is when he donned a shirt and I was completely blown away. So take a little look at this. It's Dre with the big dogs over at La Liga.
We spoke before about emerging talent in La Liga, and this weekend's El Clasico will be a showcase for the new rising stars. So Ansu Fati is one of the main players that is hot right now. Is there anyone else that we were overlooking that can actually make a huge impact in this match?
Barcelona have been selling us or trying to sell us the line that the transition is in place, and in a way it is because of Ansu Fati. But then you start scratching deep, and you think actually there is some youth there which could take over. And Pedri is one that we mentioned in between the lines, very clever. He happy to play the high tempo, because this Barcelona, by the way, is a bit different. So they are very good, or good again, in pressure after losing possession. And when they have the ball, they make much less passes. I think the average is about 410 passes compared to the usual 620 or something close. So they are much more direct, and that suits Pedri. But there are more. Trincao is a tricky winger. There's this fashion in football now, putting the left-footed winger on the right-hand side and the right-footed one on the left-hand side, which gives prominence to the fullbacks to add width. Trincao is left-footed and it's playing on the right-hand side, and brings him in a lot of the times. But he's one of the few guys that dribbles and does something special. Trincao, certainly to keep an eye on. De Jong is young, but also he hasn't been at his best. He knows that. Araujo is another one that you may see in the Champions League against Juventus, of course, but Piqué won't be there. And he looks good. He's strong. He's fast. He can play from the back. So there you are. So youth for Barcelona. For Real Madrid, Vinicius, Rodrigo, I'm not convinced. I think he will have. Rodrigo is closer to his maximum potential. I think Vinicius, we haven't seen. We're just scratching the surface. He is. I mean, I don't know if I've mentioned or even written about it before, but Barcelona wanted him, and they were desperate to get him. And it was actually Real Madrid that they were negotiating like 12.5, 13 million, and Madrid said 40, 60. I was like, all right. So he went to Madrid. But the fact that Barcelona and Madrid wanted him, and they weren't the only ones, tell you that there was something there they had seen there when he was 17. And you can see it now. And he can improve. He can be much, much better. Vinicius, if he gets that calmness that you need in goal, which I think he's working on, and you saw him, after 17 seconds, I think he scored last night. You've got a potentially top star. Odegaard injured. It's a shame. He'll be out for a month. Valverde we know of, and that's about it. Because for the first time in 40 years, Real Madrid did not sign anybody. They just brought players on loan. But they recoup about almost 100 million euros, which they put in their pocket, just waiting to put it on the other young superstar in the world, which is Mbappe. which of course they think they're convincing, and that's where the future Real Madrid lies.
How was the anticipation of the El Clasico has been in the build-up? Like, obviously, there's without the big major names. Normally, obviously, there's a big shiny new toy that's going to be displayed in these games. With both teams having a tricky start to the season and without fans, can the El Clasico meet the expectations of previous visits? Obviously, there is new talent, as Guillem mentioned before. But do you feel that it's going to be able to meet the expectations as football fans usually have?
As Guillem pointed out, I think this is a fixture which never manages to disappoint. El Clasico is a match unto itself. It's a rivalry which over these past 90 years has grown into what it is today, which is the biggest match in world club football. And I think, just given the pride and the history of these two organizations, given the fact that they've started the season later than other clubs within La Liga, and so they've still got matches to play, and they've still got an opportunity to move up the table. Obviously, Real Sociedad in first place right now, at least in terms of points. I think the expectation is that each of these teams is going to be giving their all. We've seen lots of big matches played in World Club football during this new COVID-19 reality, and I think each of these two sides is looking forward to stepping out onto the pitch at the Camp Nou at 3 p.m. on Saturday and really showing that they deserve to continue being, whether it's Barcelona, one of the great sides which did not manage to win the league last season, or whether it's Real Madrid, who obviously will have been stung from the defeat midweek in the Champions League and will be looking to sort of put their stamp on this rivalry once again.
So the El Clasico continues to be a global event. Obviously, we're all really excited all around the world to be able to see it. And so, I'm going to get the name right this time. Sergino Dest, is that right?
Serginho Dest.
Serginho Dest. I knew I'd get it wrong. I had it right beforehand.
You're getting closer and closer with each attempt, Andre.
Well, so basically he represents the American national team. So how positive is it that La Liga, for you to see more nationals being represented in a mainstream way for the El Clasico?
It's great to see El Clasico, enjoyed by more and more fans around the world as new nationalities come in to these two sides. I guess I can speak on a personal level here. I grew up in California myself, fell in love with the sport of football when the World Cup came to the US in 1994. And certainly when I speak to friends and family members and look at media in North America, Serginho Dest for soccer fans in the US is a reason to tune in and a reason to comment in chat groups, an opportunity to analyze how he's been playing, and to really feel like there's that one additional level of connection between fans in North America and between a huge global club like Barcelona, which already has its own fan base in the US and all around the world. So great to see the impact that a talented young player like him can have, not just for his club, but also on the popularity of a club like Barcelona in places around the world. He's only 19 years old, has had to play on the opposite side of where he usually has played, just based upon injuries and all the rest. And so I think seeing him and what he brings to Barcelona will be exciting. One of the many exciting storylines to watch throughout the course of the season.
And there it is. That's our action-packed roundup with all the stars and the talent behind the powers of La Liga. Keegan Pearce, Guillem Balague, and of course Samira Hunter, which you saw earlier. Dre, some really good conversations there. Some really interesting things to pick out ahead of this weekend.
Honestly, the little bits of nuggets that you actually get of information from these people. Obviously, I'm really, we're really blessed to be able to have conversations with these people that not too long ago we was just watching on television. So you can see how far we've actually come. But I really am excited, but for these new, young, exciting players. And I think there's an area of unknown with this one. Normally it's like we're watching, Messi versus Ronaldo, and then whoever else can join in. But now it's like focus on the youth. So who knows what's going to happen? Obviously, we've put our predictions in, but I'm quite excited, definitely, for this one. Popcorn is ready.
It is certainly an era of transition for La Liga. And of course, for these big teams, a lot of changes all around. So it's exciting to collectively get knowledge from those on the ground and can, help us football fans, especially our more UK audience, to understand what is at stake here. A lot is going on, a lot is going down, and we have many reasons to be excited. You might not get your usual stars you're used to. The Eden Hazards are injured still. But guess what? There's so much to look forward to, and we very much are looking forward to the El Clasico this weekend. So make sure you check it out. Barcelona versus Real Madrid. We are Alternative Sport. If you like the show, give us a little subscribe. Don't be shy. Head over to Verge Magazine. See our other amazing content we've got in and around the world of sport and beyond. I'm Matthew Connell. That's Andre Dixon, and we shall see you next time.